With a great paragliding forecast, I took off from Speikboden in Südtirol with the plan of flying along the Pustertal, over Sterzing, up the ridge above the Ridnauntal, and over the Stubai glaciers before heading back down the Stubaital, across the Brenner Pass, into the Zillertal, before crossing over into the Pinskow. From here, my plan was to head to wherever the conditions looked best. Once the day started, conditions quickly became very good, which enabled me to make quick progress along the Pustertal and over Sterzing to join the motorway above the Ridnauntal. After briefly thermaling off at the start of the Ridnauntal, I was able to fly along the entire ridge without making a single turn, while flying along the majestic sights towards the Stubai Alps. The first main peak I flew next to was the Wilder Kaiser. Here the climbs were unfortunately a little bit weaker. I should perhaps have climbed higher in the Ridnauntal, but the views were brilliant down the glaciers. From here I got a bit distracted from my plans as I got so taken in by the sights of the Stubai Alps that I kept flying west over the Wilder before finally making my turn point and heading back down the Stubaital. This section of the route was really easy and really fast, with a west wind from behind, strong thermals everywhere, going up in a straight line. In fact, one of the challenges was staying below the airspace limits while the entire world seemed to be going up. I know the Stubai Alps fairly well, but the next section was filling me with some excitement because I hadn't made the big valley crossing over the Brenner before, and it certainly looked like a long way away from above the Elfer to the other side. As it turned out, with the slight tailwind, the valley crossing wasn't very difficult, and again the climb up the other side was just straightforwards, and the views over Hintertux and the Zillertaler Alpin were absolutely brilliant. As I flew down the Zillertal, unfortunately I lost a lot of altitude and very nearly bombed out in Mayrhofen, and after half an hour of scratching up, I was soon high above the peaks again and able to make the transition into the Pinskow with absolutely brilliant views of both the Hohe Tauern National Park and the Zillertaler Alpin. Here I had thought to fly north and head towards Kufstein and the border with Germany, but as it looked hazy and with no clouds to the north, I decided just to keep heading down the Pinskow because suddenly it seemed like a 200-kilometre flight was in sight, which would have been my first. It was wonderful flying down the Pinskow in these conditions. I was over 4,100 metres with views of the big Alps like the Großglockner, which you can see here. From here I carried on ridge hopping down the Pinskow until I reached the Kitzbühel, which turned out to be my last major climb of the day. As I climbed out above the Kitzbühel, there were wonderful views of the Großglockner, the highest mountain in Austria, before I essentially started my long final glide down the ridge above Rauris as I reached my first 200-kilometre flight and landed at the foot of the valley, elated after an absolutely brilliant flight.